month is kind of focused around oats and the health benefits with that. So one of the biggest things with oats is, what do you guys think of oats? What kind of nutrient or do you like think of when you think of nutrient or like fiber? So it's a really good source of fiber. It's going to help keep you feel full for longer. And then there's a specific fiber in there that's a soluble fiber called beta-glucan, and that's actually helped to reduce blood cholesterol. So it's good for blood cholesterol, good to help you full. And it's packed with many other things, but we're kind of going to do a dish centered around that. So Chef Corey can talk about that.
All right. So what's your favorite meal? Breakfast, lunch, dinner. What do you guys like? Dinner. Lunch. Not my crowd. So I'm a breakfast guy. I love breakfast. My favorite meal of the day. I gorge myself on breakfast on Saturday. That is my cheat day, and I enjoy every minute of it. So when we're doing the class, like what I want to do, we're gonna do some breakfast. So we're gonna make some cinnamon oatmeal streusel pancakes with some maple glazed apples over the top. I'm gonna make a real simple pancake batter using a blender. Having the oats, we're gonna have to blend it up, things like that. We're gonna make a simple stovetop streusel topping. So typically streusel is made, sprinkled over muffins, things like that. I'm gonna show you how to make one just quick in a pan, so you can use it more like a topping on things like pancakes, stuff like that. We're gonna be featuring some local ingredients. So in front of you, in this little guy, we got some local maple syrup from Shepherd, right down the street. For those who aren't from around here, every spring Shepherd does this little maple syrup festival. So you go to the Sugar Bush and see it made. It's pretty awesome. So if you're around, go do it. I've been here for like 3 years in Michigan. I go on every year. It's pretty awesome. So I don't run the 5K. I'm not that healthy, but I go check out the maple syrup and have fun with that. Also, some local Michigan apples. So apples have a long shelf life. So you're like, it's middle of January. How do we get local apples? They're picked in the fall. They're still good. Stores are still selling local apples. So mix in some of that.
Kind of a fun fact really quick about maple syrup is scientists can't quite figure out exactly what maple syrup, like real maple syrup, is made of. So that's whenever you buy, let's say, where they make it themselves, they can never get it quite right. So that's why if you ever taste real maple syrup compared to like a store brand maple syrup, it never quite tastes exactly the same. They don't really know exactly 100% how to kind of make it yet, because the chemical makeup is a little bit different. So kind of a fun fact with that.
Did you grow up with real maple syrup or the corn syrup that has coloring in it? Okay. Yeah. It's a great debate in my house. My wife hates real maple syrup, but she grew up with the fake stuff. I grew up with real maple syrup. I grew up in the country on a horse farm, so we had a lot of real food. So I can't stand the other stuff. It just tastes like chemicals. So we'll feature that today. But this is from Shepherd. Like I said, check it out. I really like it. I'm gonna move this so you can see what we're doing. Before we get going, we always like to review some knife safety. So on your board, you got the cut glove. Cut glove should be on the opposite of your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, go on your left hand. Because when you're chopping, it's not going to prevent you. Like if you stab your hand, you're going to go through it. But it's going to stop you from nicks and cuts and kind of be a barrier. But it's not cut-proof. It's cut-resistant. So don't go crazy. One thing when you're holding a knife, we like to use what we call the claw. So we put our knuckles down on the counter. So when you're cutting, you're rocking against your knuckles to get your fingers out. You're chopping off your fingertips. So that is some quick tips on that. If you're not comfortable with the knife, just take it slow. I'll show you the steps I'm doing. If you're comfortable, go at it.
And I'll walk around too to help anybody else. So people are familiar with it, but if you need help, I'll be around to kind of help guide you too. So.
Yeah. Let's say everybody figured it out, but put a vinyl glove over your cut glove just to keep it sanitary. It is cloth. It soaks things up. Kind of gross. So you want to keep those clean. We do have soap and sanitizer buckets on the bottom. So in between, you always use the green bucket first to wipe, and then finish with the red bucket to sanitize. And that should be underneath. Good. Okay. Make sure they made it there. All right. So we're going to get started. We're going to start with the pancake batter. The reason we're going to start with the batter is we want to let that batter kind of rest a little bit. So we're going to blend it up, set it aside, and then we'll make the other items, and then come back and make our pancakes. So I got your recipe in front of you. We're going to be following the the cinnamon oatmeal pancakes. So to start, grab your blender. We're just going to measure right into the blender. So we're just going to blend all this, all the dry ingredients together. So we can measure out. We can start with the whole wheat flour, quick oats, sugar, baking powder, cinnamon, and salt, and then stop there. So in front of you, you got the whole wheat flour in the very front, oats you got next, sugar, and then the baking powder should be in the very front. There's powder and salt right next to each other. So the finer one's powder, the other one's kosher salt. Should be in that order. We'll go ahead and we'll measure those out. So 3/4 cup of oatmeal, and 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour. We'll dump everything right in the blender.
Anybody ever kind of baked or cooked with whole wheat flour before? Alright, it's gonna make it a little bit more dense just because you're gonna get more of the grain with this. It's gonna be a little bit higher in fiber than like your all-purpose flour. So you'll get you'll still get a fluffy pancake, but it will taste a little bit dense if you were to compare it to like a pancake that used just regular all-purpose flour.
When you're measuring, try to level out the scoop as much as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect, but
Yes. Yep.
yeah, the taller one should be sugar. I put the salt in the shorter one.
Maybe some funky pancake.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want a real ride, make French toast batter with salt instead of sugar.
Have you done that before?
No. Yes. By accident. Things happen when you're in a hurry. You grab the wrong container, and if you don't have a 1/4 teaspoon, just do half of a half teaspoon.
For what on there it says ground cinnamon. I don't think we put the measurement of unit. It would be a teaspoon.
Oh.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Teaspoon. Cinnamon goes a long way. Kind of like your nutmegs and things like that. They just have bold flavor, so you can always add more. You can't take it out. All right. So once you have all your dry ingredients, you go ahead and put your lid back on. Then we go back on the blender. I ask when you fire up the blender that you hold the top just in case. These aren't the world's best blenders, so I don't want any lids flying up and dust everywhere. So, and then you can go ahead and just blend it up. You start with probably the blend setting to start. We'll see how it chops it up. You want to grind it real fine like flour. right, I think we're all ground up. So now you put it back on the blender. We're gonna add our wet ingredients right to the blender. So you got 1 cup of milk. I have a little thing of milk here. You have to measure it out. And then you have 1 egg, and then we'll do 3 tablespoons of butter. You might need a little spoon to kind of scoop the butter out of your tablespoon, or your gloved finger, you kind of shove it in. The recipe calls for melted butter. You can melt it, at least have it soft. So this is already soft.
So bonus points for anybody who can crack an egg one-handed. Has anybody ever tried doing that? Yeah. How was your first? Have you?
Well,
What,
we
like
did that
this?
again, and,
Yep, like that.
We served a lot of
You're a
breakfast,
chef.
and so it's just like the back of there one day I just started doing it.
Yep.
But then it's like I got good at it, and then it's like you stop for a while, and then it's like.
Right. It's kind of kidney shells, but yeah, it's fun to do when you're at home, kind of freshly make a scrambled egg. So it's fun to kind of like practice and teach you to do it. It took me a long time to master the one-handed egg crack.
We got milk, egg, and butter going in.
I don't know. I don't think the luck of the job.
That was fun.
I don't know. Shelby just has more aesthetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
The butter's not measured. You gotta actually measure it. Yeah, I just threw some chunks in there on you. Make you work for it.
It's teaching kids. You gotta learn.
Then once we have all the 3 items in, we can go ahead and blend it up once we get there. So make sure you hold the top, especially with the liquid.
And they both have things about their ways to other stuff. So 2 good resources. Thank you. Hope to see you around.
Yeah, if you're in, you can go ahead and blend it up. Just hold it down. Be loud again for a little bit. You might need to take your rubber spatula and kind of go around the edges to get a good mix. Once it's blended up, you can just let your blender kind of hang out and let that batter rest. You always want to let your pancake batter rest, kind of the baking powder activate, let all the ingredients kind of blend together. If you start cooking your pancake batter too much, you're going to get flatter pancakes. They're not going to cook as evenly. So just kind of forget about it a minute, and then we'll make the other stuff come back to it. Everybody good? All right, so now we're gonna move into the streusel. So streusel is like a crumbly topping. So when you get like a blueberry muffin and it's got that crumbly top on it, that's streusel. Normally you throw it on top of a muffin before you bake it. It kind of bakes over the muffin, thing like that. We're gonna make a stovetop streusel that we can sprinkle on things after the fact. So we're gonna start with kind of combining things into a bowl here. So we have the flour, brown sugar, oats, cinnamon, and salt. We're gonna get those into the bowl, and then we'll come back and do vanilla and butter separately.
Streusel definitely can be made a lot of different ways too, as far as like when you want to combine things. I've made streusel before where I've had like sliced almonds or chopped nuts in it, or I've done methods where you use melted butter, where some call for salad butter. You kind of like mix it up with like a sand almost. So it's definitely very versatile and lots of different ways to do it.
Apparently I read backwards. Look at that.
Has anybody here before have like you made homemade pancakes from scratch? Like your family members make homemade pancakes from scratch? Yeah.
In my high school culinary class, we had to do a recipe, like just like a recipe. We had to do it like cover like rice and stuff.
Okay.
And then it was you had a carrot with an English muffin, and I never thought I was like thanks better. But I have nothing like pancakes or something like that. And I just had
That's cool.
That's really cool. That gets you to kind of be creative and kind of
When you do the brown sugar, you want to just give it a little tap, kind of press it in so it's evenly measured.
Does anybody know what's in brown sugar to make it brown? Yep, molasses. So I feel when you see when you go to like the grocery store, you see light brown sugar and dark brown sugar. That dark brown sugar is going to give you more of that molasses flavoring to it. So a lot of times you might see that in like molasses cookies or other items like that.
Once you have all your dry ingredients in there, you can just use your gloved hand, kind of blend all the stuff together, breaking up the chunks. And you get brown sugar clumps, or just get it all mixed together pretty good. And then the butter. So the recipe has 4 tablespoons. We're gonna melt just one of the tablespoons in the saute pan in front of you. We'll kind of drizzle it over your dry ingredients along with your vanilla. And then once you have the butter and the vanilla in there, we're gonna kind of squeeze it together, kind of clump it together. And then we'll finish it after that. So the burners, if you're not familiar with them, you have to turn it all the way to the left till you hear a click. And then you'll see a flame on the bottom, and then go back up to turn it down. So you don't want to burn the butter, you just want to get a little heat to melt it. So you're looking for about a tablespoon that will melt up. Butter, like butter, like this crumble. Yeah. That's all right. That's usually all we get all what you can. And we'll use the butter and the vanilla kind of combine this. And make it crumble. And then all the other
Melt the butter first, right? Before adding it in.
Yeah, you got 1 tablespoon of start to melt.
Melt it before that into.
So if you don't want to burn your butter, once it's just well done, I usually take it off, let the rest kind of melt it. always.
something that you kind of, yeah, I was, but these are 6 students, and we have an executive chef.
It's like an actual.
So we're on high right now.
Yeah, you just follow us on Instagram. There's a bunch of people. I think it's something you like here.
Once you have melted butter, you can use your rubber spatula to scrape it over. You want to get all that fat, kind of drizzle it over your streusel. And then you'll finish it with your vanilla. And you're gonna kind of bunch it together. So I'm kind of pack it once you get the moisture in there. So it starts looking like it's streusel.
It'll kind of almost be like pumpy / like sandy.
You just want to like pack it together good. When you cook it, it's gonna break up a little bit. So if you have big chunks, I like loose, chunky.
And as you're kind of working that, it's kind of like another fun fact. Does anybody know how to make homemade vanilla? Like how you would do it, or does anybody know what's in vanilla? Basically, if you wanted to make your own homemade vanilla at home, it's just vanilla beans. It's like a long vanilla bean pot, and it's typically soaked in either vodka or like a dark rum. Even like the vanilla extract that you get from the store. You'll see like the ingredients that goes alcohol. It's very, very small amounts. Coconut too. That's how you make homemade vanilla.
How are we looking? Crumbly? Crumbly like jelly? Feel free to go with your hands and just like squeeze it together like accidents.
Yeah. Yeah, so just like the fun little stuff that you buy around campus. I still do some like it smells so good.
We want to save some of the butter for the sauté that we'll mix at the end, but we all have the same measurement of butter, but everybody's crumbles are a little bit differently. So your flour might point some humidity, might have been a little moisture in the jar, might have been drier.
And I would say once we're all like done with everything, kind of take a look at everybody else's too, because as Chef was saying, everybody's will look a little bit different. Even though we've kind of followed the same like measurements, everybody has their different styles of how they do things. Yes, the texture, humidity can impact things. So I kind of fun to see how everybody else's looks.
Breakfast time.
Yeah. Best meal of the day?
Most important too.
So once we have that crumbled up, we're gonna take most of the rest of your butter, save just a little bit for the apples, like a teaspoon, leave in there. The rest you can take out, put in your pan. If you have a hard time getting out, you can use a little tasting spoons. And we're just gonna melt that. You don't wanna get it super hot. Once it starts melting and the pan's a little warm, we're gonna dump the streusel right in there. And we're gonna start stirring it around with our wooden spoon. We're just gonna toast it a little bit, so it'll be a little fragrant. You'll see a little browning of it, a little bit caramelization of sugar. It's gonna keep pulling it together, make more of that crumbly top. Once the butter is melted, we can break the heat down a little bit. A lot of sugar, you don't want to burn it. So once you're melted, go ahead and throw in your streusel. Then use your wooden spoon to kind of work that butter in and toast this crumble a little bit. Keep your bowl nearby because once you're toasted, you're going to get this right back in the bowl. If you leave it in the pan, it's going to burn. It'll start smelling a little caramely, a little toasty. You want to keep it moving. You don't need to beat it up because you want to keep the chunks, but keep it moving so it doesn't burn.
Everybody starts smelling like the brown sugar starting to cook and butter kind of turning a little bit nutty. It kind of reminds me of like the smell when you go to like fairs and they have like those sugar pecans or like you can smell a lot of like just that brown sugar.
Be careful if you touch it because now you got hot sugar in there. It'll stick to your skin, so make sure you're using your spoon when you dump it out. You can see my sugar kind of melted and my butter's kind of sitting in there. Sugar will start melting with the butter.
I'm not a million ago.
There's like this Oh, it's incredible. Right now we're making maple syrup, apple, and
Why does that sound so good?
yeah, we did this like once a month. All the
Everybody come have a radio in.
but yeah, fish dining on Instagram. Yeah, so it's up.
Smell it. Mine was a touch too, but I just threw a little more.
Wet or
Gotta throw some butter into your Here's a little bit closer to mine. Also, when it cool down a little.
We let it cool down. Butter and sugar will be very hot.
We'll kind of set that aside out of your way so you don't burn yourself.
I think it's just perfect for stuff like that.
All right, smells delicious. Then once we're all done with that, we're gonna jump into our apples. So the apples, I put peelers on your stations. If you don't like apple peels, there's no need to peel them. We can leave the peels on; they're clean, ready to go. But if you don't like peels, you can feel free to peel them. More of a preference. We are gonna how many I put on there? 2 apples. These are a little small, so I threw an extra one on there. So we'll do them all. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna slice our apples. So what I do, I slice an apple. I'll take off one side, create a flat surface, put the flat surface down on the board, and then take off the other slabs. I'll take the core out. Once I have the slabs, then I'm just gonna slice it. You probably want about a 1/4 inch thick. We're gonna cook them, so I don't want them to get all mushy. Oh, to go running with?
Yeah.
You grab one of mine out. Okay.
Okay. You're welcome. So make sure that you're following Sunshine on Instagram.
At home, if you wanted to be fast, you could buy the pre-sliced apples in the produce section if you wanted. Saves a little time. I gotta mix them here.
Yep. Kind of another random fact. I have has anybody ever known of anybody who actually eats the whole entire apple, core and all? I have a friend. The first time I saw him do it, I was completely shell shocked. I was like, what are you doing? He was like, yeah, this is like totally normal. It was the first time I've seen somebody actually eat the whole entire apple core.
I'm the same way. You believe it's not talking to you.
A dog does that.
Yep.
I've never seen a human do that.
I was like, I know horses do that,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, never seen a human do it. Basically, I'm like, yep. You can do it, yeah. It's thin as or as thick as you want. You get a little bit thicker, probably have a little bit more of a crunch to it. Do a little bit thinner, it'll kind of start to get a little bit more soft. It kind of depends on your preference, or you can have like a mixture of soft and ones in there. So you have 2 slices versus 6 slices. So it kind of goes down to preference.
Yeah.
Nice. Right? This one.
Yeah. So we're talking about this last one. So yeah, just because
It's definitely one of those things. The sharp knife is a safe knife. Really? Yep.
yeah, just follow this.
The more dull your knife is, let's see if you're cutting like an apple or a tomato or if it's really dull, there's less chance that it's going to slide off that piece of fruit or vegetable. Much higher because you're cutting yourself. I know, it seems kind of like backwards. Make sharp is not safe, but when it comes to cutting things, sharp is safe.
I think you're just so confused. I got somewhere that can mix all my other like homework and stuff like that. So I was no, I'm glad you know how it works out because yeah,
Yeah, it's a nice technique that is one of
the freshman year, but stuff like that. Yeah. Of course. Whatever you need help with.
you can use that in the kitchen. Kitchen a little bit. I like your technique there. Right. Yeah. You got chef showing off over here, so you got this done.
Caught a couple things, I guess.
Right? I'm gonna do this time too. That seems like everybody just need to be sure.
Make sure you give Logan a hard time.
Always.
So we're
That's my TL.
But
makes sense. Next skills. Okay. Yep.
anybody else on it?
Right?
I see.
Yeah.
It's delayed too.
Yeah.
So you can watch.
Wait, I want to count it. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably once a month now. With that, especially the rest of the first 6 minutes. It's first come, first served, so just make sure you follow us.
It's one of those times when you're cutting apples that you really appreciate having that apple core at home that you can just put the whole apple underneath it and boom. You're good to go.
All right, look looks like we're getting there on the apples. For those that are done, what we're gonna do next is turn your heat back on in the same pan that you toasted your topping in, like a medium heat, and whatever butter you got left, you're gonna throw in that saute pan.
So teaching about like one time, and one of the executive chefs actually teach specialty recipes.
Just about when the butter is melted, we're gonna throw our apples in there. And we're really just gonna saute them long enough to get them tender. So we just want them a little bit soft. We don't want to turn them to mush or applesauce, just a little bit tender.
Yeah. We did rock cheese here. But yeah, like really.
And most you can. They say to enjoy your hands to last longer. But I don't want to miss it. Same with like my. They're not supposed to dry. They all over time. They think if I do oatmeal and I cut them like you know, it's going top shelf, laying flat on the front. A little bit. Some have spoons, some have like the flat bottom.
We're just gonna cook them till like a little bit tender, not so much. All we're gonna do once they're tender is just put a little bit of maple syrup over the top. Put that maple syrup on the plate. That's in the jar. If your apples are a little bit tender, here's your really double trim the heat down. A little crispy. Everything else. You don't need all of it, just enough to coat it. And then make sure you turn your heat down. It's going to want to burn real quick. We're really just going to kind of glue this maple syrup to the apples. Come on, let's do it. So it might look something like this, depending how you cook your apples. It's kind of the syrup kind of caramelized and move the apples a little bit.
You know, I know certain caramelize it really nice. Your apples have like caramelization.
This stuff didn't burn. Is there any way it shouldn't burn the green down? And once that maple syrup is glued to the apples, I just finished a little bit of salt, just a little sprinkle. Kind of pulls the rest of the flavor out.
Did you burn it? What?
Oh, okay, so any
it's a little sweet.
Just heckling over you.
She does it over here. Ooh, that looks so good. It smells better over there. It is.
That's all on the wrist actually. Practice. Yeah, exactly.
Once the apples are done, we'll set aside, get into the pan and set it aside. And then we'll, underneath your counter, there's another pan. We'll grab that and we're going to start pancakes. Yeah.
They should. Are these like a good surface where they use it right on it? Okay.
Yeah.
You just said it, these surfaces are.
Yeah, you do an actual, you can do that. We're going to set the pan on the counter, whatever. Yeah, these are selling it. Then we'll use the big non-stick pan for pancakes. Once you put your big pan on the burner, you want about a medium heat. You don't want to sear the pancakes. Well, I thought we were medium. If you were using like a grill, like a 350 degree, you don't have a lot of sears. You don't want medium. Yeah. You don't want it smoking, you want it somewhere in the middle. You can't start smoking, it's too hot.
Yeah, kind of similar with eggs too. Your eggs that almost expect to go low heat, so they take a little bit longer. That's when you get that nice meaty egg in a sense. But on a high heat, kind of really fast, that becomes like almost egg slow, kind of like pancake slow.
So non-stick pans, you always want to use plastic utensils, metal, scrape your Teflon off. So you got your plastic spatula. So we got your batter, should be ready to go. Take a look at it. It's thicker, but it should be good. Should get a good, nice height on them. And you can use lots of different oils to season your pan with. You can do canola oil, you can do spray, you can do butter if you want, but today we have spray. So just a quick, you don't need a ton, just a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you're making it at home and you felt the batter was too thick, you can just put it back in the blender, add a little milk, blend it up, and you're done. But you can use your ladle. We'll scoop out some pancake mix. Ladle it into your pan. You should be able to get a couple pancakes in here. The ladles are kind of big. You're only going to be able to get so far, so you might want to use your rubber spatula to kind of pour it out. If that works better.
This is where you can experiment. You want to do it feel like this, and then you want to put your batter, add a little bit of milk in it, blend it up. So you can taste the difference too. Okay, yeah, this is what thick pancakes taste like. It's a little more liquid.
We're going to cook them until little bubbles come up over the top. You don't want to play with the pancakes. You want to let them rest. The bubbles start coming up. We flip them so nice and golden.
That's where I would say it's kind of like the nice, the fun thing about cooking and baking is that's where you kind of experiment a little bit. You don't really like how it looks one way. Yeah. Just add a little more liquid, bring it out, and then see what happens.
What?
Anyone need the help with something?
Okay.
Middle together, no. That's why I would get this one. You kind of go with it, right? Right?
So I just flip mine. Once you flip them, they're gonna get a little height to start rising. Sometimes I like to turn the heat a little bit down once I flip them, so they cook all the way through. Again, there's egg in there, so you don't want to have pancake batter in the middle. So you raw egg. We're getting a decent amount of rise on it for being a heavy holy pancake. Sometimes they don't get. Don't want no secret. My biggest pet peeve is kale pancakes. See kale pancakes online. It's all everywhere. Okay.
I know. I will. That's sometimes I get impatient and I will overcook things. So I'm like, I just can't wait to be hungry. Why did I do that? And then underneath too as well, you have little to-go tinfoil containers. If you need more than one, let me know. I have more. Of course, you might need more than one since we've got quite a bit of pancakes. I'll get you guys each 2 more or 1 more. Yes. Yep. Spray in between, so that way you got like a nice even the biggest pancake.
This is a world record.
That first minute that happens, like you said, that you got a little bit, you're like, we're stuck. Oh, no, you're right. Then I go to that, I just throw it. Yeah, you got more. I think you choose. Make a lot of pancakes and you got your apple stuff too. You already want underneath your desk. I'll give you a couple more that you have to do.
See if we can get it. Do you believe in us? Yep.
We believe in you.
I sacrificed my family. We're basically family. Oh man, I don't know.
That's when you can tell like that has to be 7. And that was
Oh, turn it off. You're good. All right. So when you got pancakes, now we're gonna top them. So we got this awesome apple compote, and then we'll be able to top it with our streusel.
I didn't say it. I had to like usually what you're gonna use the what you do when it's like that spatula.
You probably got a little extra apple, but that's all right.
Yep.
So if your streusel got a little bit more crunchy like mine, you can just chop it up a little bit.
When you flip it then, I don't know, I thought it was like that's very outer side.
Then you all have some extra syrup. You can finish it off. So apples, streusel, a little bit of maple syrup over the top. Oh baby, it's time for breakfast.
That looks delicious.
All right. Something like so. All yours. Broke it up.
Was not a
So you got healthy pancakes, nice crunchy tops.
Let's do it again. And that, yes, we always like to get pictures too, so. Those that are. What's this? I did that all the time. You want that one? Or the organ?
Make pancakes all once in a while.
Yeah. Just do that like. It's so good. What? I had some of those other blue stuff. Potato. Any shape or form. Especially potatoes. Does your iMessage still work? Or should I put a different app? Not do that. Oh. Good. Yeah.
That would be a snack. Don't.
If I feel something that we like do, definitely take better. I can try it for my taste and then we'll try the other one. Okay, that sounds fun. Is that way you can actually taste your food? I like doing taste. That would be nice. Yes. And there's, like I said, there's tasting spoons. In the right next to your dinner. Yes. That's right. That's
You don't
right.
know what else you need.
Add it on.
That looks so good.
These little jars on your counter are some maple syrup you can take with you. From the sugar book.
I'll make it.
Any good? Not super hard, but it's kind of fancy. Kind of fun.
Has anybody ever seen how they get maple syrup out of a tree? Yeah, they have like this metal, like, I don't know what it's called. Basically like a spout that hot dog.
Oh,
It's
for
like a
sure.
straw and they spout, yeah, like that against the tree and they hit it in there until they get it comes out of the tree.
once everything's like good to down, we don't put a lot of things. Yeah.
And it takes a long time for the syrup to come out. Wait till they come out the end of the spouts. They'll have like these really big bags that'll collect the syrup, and they'll come back in like an hour or so and check.
I squat down.
Maybe longer than an hour, but
That sure was last year. They're talking about how they have like this whole package. Yeah. It's coming out and like goes down all these prices and that's the thing. All the woods like ours will too. It's crazy. Yeah.
I haven't seen it that way.
That's super creepy. They told me stories.
Yeah.
Jen did a great job. That's awesome. It smells great.
How does it taste? You guys try it over here. What do you think? Awesome. Any taste of my crumble? Okay. Good. That's always a good thing. It's positive. Have you tried it yet?
Yeah, it's good.
Good. Awesome.
I saw that Jessica's on here.
I'm chatting with her.
I've done it before, and I
She's in a full-on conversation with chat. Or we should give the smells too. The smells is well.
I should probably type that to her.
It smells like apple, brown sugar, butter.
Oh, the good stuff. Bakery.
Yeah.
Wait. Everybody think of this one. I don't think we're gonna see this one last semester. This is that was more like right? And yeah, look, it'll probably be the third Thursday in February. Will be the next one. And it's gonna be focused on something related to omega-3 fatty acids. It could So that could be anything from like salmon, your tuna, any like seeds, like flax seeds or chia seeds. Kind of depends on what the chef wants to do with it. So stay tuned. There will be something with like omega-3s. Yep.
All the chocolate is half off.
Right. Exactly.
That's my favorite day.
So we're gonna take a photo.
I'm the photo. There was one time, I think it was someone else, but we made like this, like soup, and this one person literally ate it all, like a full, it's like family size soup, like
Yeah.
all right there.
Who and Jakob did it? The Turkish guy?
So
Yeah.
kids want to gather up here.
We're just like, oh, we're gonna take a picture. It's awesome.
Should we move this over there?
Should we
also end these two?
Or do you wanna?
Sure.
Yeah, let's see it move that.
It's fine for 2 minutes. Plug here. Oh, she.
Oh, there's
Wait,
stuff on
but-
that. I forgot about that.